Hello, this is Tim Burfitt from Twocanoes.com, and I want to show you some of the new features in MDS 1.4. Before I get started, I'd like to remind you, please subscribe to this channel because I do occasional videos showing the new features of MDS and other products and software we've been working on. And just to give you an overview, MDS is a macOS app that allows you to easily deploy Macs from the recovery partition and install macOS packages, profiles, and scripts. And we've been making lots of progress on it. So please do subscribe and also download it. It's a free download. It's an open source project that's available at twocanoes.com/MDS. And we do offer a full range of support options as well. So let's dive right in and look at some of the new features. The first one is the user interface was getting a bit crowded. So what we did is we reorganized the workflows. So now we have this panel on the left side that is showing you all the options that are available when you're setting up workflow. So we've completely redone the interface, kind of separated it out, made it a lot more scalable for the future, as well as organized quite better. Another option that we've added in is the ability to create a user right inside of an MDS workflow. So one of the things that people have been adding, a very common package that people add to install after macOS is installed, is to be able to create a user. And so now if we go into options, you have the ability to just click a checkbox, fill in it's the full name, short name, UID, password, and SSH key to create a user. And so what happens is after the macOS is installed, MDS had created a package that will get installed that will create that user. We also have options to make this user an administrator, is also to hide the user account so that normal users won't see it at the login window, but you'll still be able to log in. We did add in SSH key. This is the public key from your SSH keys that you generated. If you do this, any machines that you deploy, you can now SSH in without a password. It's a great way to run scripts and do things remotely using SSH. If you don't want to use it, you just leave it blank. But if you fill in your SSH key, it'll populate it in the user account for that user. And of course, you would also want to enable the SSH server down here. Another new option we add into the UI is the ability to prompt for the computer name or set the serial number. And so that's the set computer name. So what that means is that once the workflows run in the recovery partition, it will use the serial number. It'll parse it from the hardware and use that serial number as the computer name, so it's easy to find via Bonjour or management or whatever. A DNS, it'll show up that the serial number is a computer name. If you have a technician that's setting up, you want to prompt them for the computer name. Maybe you're using a variant of the inventory number. You can set this to prompt, and that means that when the workflow is first started, the technician will be prompted. They'll enter in the computer name, press enter, and then it'll go through and use that computer name to be able to when it's set up for that one. So it's some setting that's done at runtime. We added two options in. One's for skipping the setup assistant and skipping the user privacy. The first one is skip setup assistant, which is when you first start up your Mac after installing macOS, it'll show you the steps to walk through. You choose the language, the keyboard, create a computer account, all those different things. You can now, if you select this, it'll skip it. We did allow you to skip everything but location services, and that was it's important to have location services enabled so that the time zone is set correctly. Otherwise, the time will be off. So it's a great option to be able to skip the setup assistant, but then automatically enable location services so that time zone is set correctly. The next one is the skip the user privacy and location setup assistant. This is when a new user logs in for the first time. It prompts them to approve for location and or use your location, as well as some privacy information. Basically, when you skip that, it just sets it to deny, and then the user can go in and allow those things if they want to. It skips that first step, so it allows the onboarding experience to be a lot better. We also added in the allow administrators to screen share. So if you select this, screen sharing will be turned on by default. And so if you have a remote Mac and you know the host name, you can then do screen sharing and screen share, you will be prompted for a username and password. So most people use the administrator account here to be able to screen share to that machine. So it's a great use of that service account. Another option is the ability to do Wi-Fi. So we added that in two places. The first place is in at the very top level where you have connect to Wi-Fi before showing workflows. So this will connect up to Wi-Fi when you're in the recovery partition, and then it allows you to make sure that the macOS gets installed correctly because it requires network access. And so that's great for that initial install of macOS. And then after the computer's being done set up, it comes up, and a lot of times it'll be connecting up to the MD or rolling an MDM or being able to download some other resources. And so we added in inside the workflow the ability to join Wi-Fi. So you would just put in your Wi-Fi username and password, and then it would join. It actually creates a configuration profile that's installed on the computer that allows it to join that Wi-Fi. So not only will you have Wi-Fi from this one here in recovery partition, which could be different, of course, than the one that's used in the workflow, and then after post install, it'll join the Wi-Fi here. All right. Another feature that we added in is we do try both EN0 and EN1, the two different network interfaces. So if you have something like a Mac Mini, or you plugged in Ethernet dongle, or I guess that won't really apply to this, but it's basically if you have a Mac Mini where EN0 is Ethernet, and if you have a laptop, then EN0 would be Wi-Fi. So we'll try both of those. Another feature that we added in is the ability, before when you selected the installer, it had to be in a disk image. We now changed that so it can either be in a disk image or you can just select the macOS installer directly. And you can see I have some resources here on my desktop, and I can see here's just the macOS installer that was downloaded from the App Store. And so you can just select that directly. Another nice feature we added in is the ability when you're saving a disk image, it'll populate the save as the name of the first workflow that's active. So it allows you to quickly be able to save with default the disk image. It's a minor touch, but that was a feature requested by somebody in the community, and it worked out really well. I use it all the time. Another major new feature is the ability for remote logging. So when you're creating the resources, either as a disk image or saved to volume, you can specify the IP address for remote logging. And this works with both Imager Server as well as in MDS. So what this populates with the current IP address of this machine. So if I erase this and I turn this off and on, it'll go in and find it. And what it does is it embeds that inside the resources so that when the machine's setting itself up, it will send logging information back. And in fact, right now I'm actually setting up a machine so you can see the progress here. And so I'm actually setting up multiple machines, and you can see that it'll tell you when it's installing the profiles. It's actually, there's a brand new one setting it up here. You can see Imager starting up, preparing to run workflow, erasing the disk, running a script, starting the macOS install, and then it's rebooted and started the macOS install. And then when that's completed, it'll go through and give you updates kind of like this other one does. And then you can see at the end when it's done, it says success. So if this same information is reported to Imager Server, it allows you to see kind of if you're doing a whole bunch of machines, what the status is as they're being set up. So remote logging is a very, very cool feature that allows you to kind of keep track, especially if your machine's running headless or in your separate location. The other major feature we added was the ability to, in resources, to be able to select profiles. So now if you have a folder of profiles, like this one, I have a certificate and a Wi-Fi config profile, I could just select that folder, and any of the profiles in that folder will then be installed. So that's all the new things we have for MDS 1.4. Please subscribe to this channel, and so you'll keep getting more updates. We're actually putting 1.5 into beta this week, and are hard at work on 1.6. So we have lots of great new features coming out. So you definitely want to keep informed. Please visit us at twocanoes.com/MDS. We also have a Slack channel on Mac Admin Slack. So if you just go to the Mac Deploy Stick Slack channel, you can ask any questions or join the community there. And we also have forums at community.twocanoes.com. And also we have some paid support options if you want to have escalated support or be able to have escalated or priority bug fixes and feature requests. And you can find all that information out on twocanoes.com/MDS. So again, this is Tim Perfect from Twocanoes Software. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and I'll talk to you later.